it's Andrea from Movers and Bakers. Today I'm going to share with you how I make my chocolate mini egg cupcakes. These are beautiful chocolate cupcakes topped with a vanilla buttercream and of course some mini eggs. Lovely, gorgeous, you're going to love them. Let's get baking. So to start with, I'm going to pop my butter into my stand mixer. I'm using my lovely KitchenAid today. You can do this by hand or using a hand mixer if you haven't got a stand mixer, but just for ease, I'm using my KitchenAid. So this is unsalted butter, 125 grams. Pop all of that in, and I'm just going to, because it's a bit cool here still in the UK, I'm just going to give it a very quick mix just to soften up the butter so that it mixes really well with my cupcakes. Right, and into my butter, I'm going to take this off to make it easier. I am going to sift in my dry ingredients. So I have 125 grams of caster sugar, 100 grams of self-raising flour, and 25 grams of cocoa powder. And finally, a half teaspoon of baking powder. I'm going to sift all those in, engulfed by the cloud. And my final ingredient for now are eggs. I've got 2 eggs here. Right, and it's time to mix now. So you're going to mix it on a slow speed to start with, just to get all the ingredients incorporated, and then we're going to turn the speed up to high to get some air in. Once you've combined all your ingredients at a slow speed, you want to turn the speed up and get lots of air into your mixture. And once you've done that for a minute or so on high, I'm going to add my final ingredient in. I'm using coffee today. This is a teaspoon of instant coffee with a tablespoon of boiling water. If you don't want to use coffee, you can just use a tablespoon of milk, and that's absolutely fine. The reason I put coffee into my chocolate cakes, you won't taste it, but it really enhances the chocolatey flavour of your cake. So I would really encourage you to use some coffee. If you're good with that, you can use decaf if you prefer, but coffee really brings out the chocolatiness. So we're going to mix that in again. And once you've given that one final beat, you will have this beautiful pale chocolate cake mixture. So it's time now for us to pop it into our cupcake cases. So while I was making my cake mixture, I put my oven on. My oven's been preheating at 160 Celsius, that's 320 Fahrenheit. And I have my cupcake tin here lined with absolutely gorgeous Eastery, pale colour themed cupcake liners. But of course, if you haven't got these, you can use any, that's absolutely fine. These are just ones that I had and I love them, they're so Easter themed. So I'm going to use an ice cream scoop to scoop my cake mixture into my cases. You can use 2 spoons, you can use whatever method you want. The thing that you want to make sure of is that you get an even amount of cake mixture into each of your cases, just to make sure that your cupcakes bake evenly. So I'm using my ice cream scoop, and I'm just going to plop. And while I'm finishing this off is a great time for me to remind you to like this video and to hit the subscribe button so you always know when I release new videos. So once I have filled my cupcake cases, I'm going to pop them in my oven. They are going to bake for 22 to 25 minutes. Check them around the 22-minute mark. They may be done, they may need a little bit longer, depends on your oven. And I will see you on the other side to make icing to decorate the ready cupcakes. Okay, so I've got some of my cupcakes here that I baked, and they are cold and we are ready to make some icing. So before I do adding sugar and things, again, I'm going to soften my butter, but this time I'm going to take a lot longer because I not only want to soften it, but I also want to fluff it up and get it really nice and fluffy. And what that's going to do is it's going to give you a really soft icing that you are absolutely going to love. So all I'm doing is I'm popping it in my stand mixer, and I'm just going to mix my butter, and I'm going to leave it for a good 5 minutes until it goes really pale and soft and fluffy. So my butter is fluffed up and it's lovely and soft. You want it to have gone slightly paler a yellow, as you can see. Now this has taken me a little bit over 5 minutes, and what you need to make sure you do every so often is just, as you can see here, just scrape your bowl down just to make sure all of it gets beaten at the same speed and the same level, so it all ends up being lovely and soft and fluffy. So I'm going to add in my icing sugar now. Now, whenever you make buttercream or butter icing, you want to put double the amount of icing sugar to your butter. So that's what I'm going to do. Now, you can add it in a spoonful at a time, but I'm just going to add the whole lot in one go. So I have pre-sifted my icing sugar. That's always a good idea to do that. Just so you don't have any lumps and so you get a really nice smooth icing when you do. So I'm gonna pop that back in there, make sure it's nice and tight, and then on a low speed, I'm just gonna start mixing that up. And then before I do anything else, I'm gonna scrape my bowl down again. You can see it's all mixed together, mostly. There's a little bit of icing sugar and a little bit of butter caught on the sides. So, as monotonous as it is, scraping your bowl down is really important. So now I've scraped that down, I'm going to turn the speed up and beat it on high for a couple of minutes just to get it nice and fluffy. So that's taken me about a minute. Oh, it's stuck in there. There we go. And you can see it's started to fluff up a little bit. Now what I want to do before I let it fluff up completely is I want to add some milk into my icing as well. So this is whole milk, but you can use semi-skimmed or any milk that you want, and I'm just going to add it in. I will probably need a couple of tablespoons here, but I'm going to start with a tablespoon and a half. And what that's going to do is it's going to soften my icing and make it really easy to pipe and really soft when I pipe it. So mix it through slow to start with, just so you don't get your milk flying everywhere. And once your milk has been mixed into your butter and sugar mixture, turn the speed up and let it go really lovely and fluffy. Right, my buttercream is all done. Now, I didn't mention before, when I use my stand mixer, I always use a paddle attachment to make buttercream. This is because I don't want to use a whisk and put too much air in, or you're going to end up with really pocked kind of icing. It'll have lots of air bubbles in, so it won't look as smooth when you come to pipe it and have it on your cupcakes. So that's why I use a paddle attachment when I make my icing as well. Right, so my buttercreams are all ready. Now, because I'm making mini egg cupcakes, I wanted to colour my icing to match the colour of the mini eggs. So what I'm going to do is I have 3 bowls. I'm going to split my icing into 3 and make them 3 different colours. Right, so the colours I'm going for my icing are going to be pink, yellow and purple. So I'm going to start with my yellow. So if you've not seen my videos before where I've used food colouring, you'll know that I always use Sugar Flare food colouring just because I find the colour of them is really good. So when you get your food colouring, you need to use a toothpick to get just a little bit out. And it's very thick and gel-like. And you're just going to mix it into your icing completely. Right, so my icing is all coloured in these lovely mini egg colours you see here. Now, you can put your icing directly into your piping bag, but to make it easier and to help my colours come through evenly, I have a different way of doing it. So I have on the table in front of me here on my work surface, I've got some cling film. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my colours in rows and then roll it up, you'll see. So we're just going to put rows of your buttercream onto your cling film right next to each other. You just want to spread them out into longer kind of tubes of buttercream. So then I'm going to put my purple right next to my pink. And now, time for some yellow. So once you've got your icing in rows like this, it's time to roll it all up together. So I'm just going to pull one end of the cling film over the other side, roll it up, and then I'm just going to grab the ends and roll it a little more. And especially in one end, you want to secure that so that it doesn't leak out the top. Now at the bottom of my icing here, I'm just going to cut that near the end of the icing so that it can come out really easily, and dispose of that. Now, I have a really large piping bag here. I'm going to pop, just for a change today, I'm going to use a different tip. So this is a Russian ball piping tip. As you can see, it's got lovely little swirly patterns in the top. You can use any piping tip you want. You can spoon it on by hand and do it with a knife if you want to. You could do it with a 1M, which is what I've done other cupcakes with as well. Any one you want really, but just for a change, I wanted to do some ruffles, which is why I'm using this Russian piping tip. So pop it into my piping bag, make sure it's come all the way out, I've already cut it. Make sure it's nice and secure so none of your icing's gonna leak through. And then, once you've got your tip in the bottom, all you have to do is pick up your icing that you've got there and just pop it into your piping bag. And just slide it down. And we are done. So then, as usual, I'm going to twist the top and put pressure from the top down, and you can see my icing moving down. And what that's going to do is it's going to give me a lovely rainbow swirl kind of effect with these colours that I've got. So before I start any piping, I'm just going to make sure my icing is all the way out and coming out at the bottom. There we go. I think we're good to go. So to make my ruffle today, I'm going to hold my piping bag straight down and I'm going to just twist it as I am piping. And then stop squeezing and lift it off. And then once you have got your buttercream done, we're going to decorate the top of it with a few mini eggs. Look at that, aren't they gorgeous? And there you have it, my mini egg cupcakes. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like it if you have, and do hit subscribe so you always know when I release videos. Thanks for joining me today, friends. Happy baking.